Now that you've set up the template or you've faded out the photos, so you've lowered the opacity and you've locked that layer, you'll be on the layout layer. What we're going to do on this layout layer is we're going to actually set up the grid. The grid is going to be a non-printable area, meaning all the lines that will show up will not actually print. And we're going to set this up down here to help organize the page. So let's start with the second spread. So what we're going to do is this. We're going to go in first and we're going to switch this from being preview mode. That's where it's showing you what it would look like if it was printed. Normal mode is where it's going to show you where all these guidelines are. Now you'll notice the default is set up where things are not exactly lined up. And what we're going to do is we're going to try to figure out what the grid was that was the sizes that were being used by the designer on this one. So what we're going to do is start over here under layout and we're going to go to margins and columns. So this may not be perfect. So we're going to have to mess with this a little bit. Since I have these images, they may not be exactly the same dimension as the original designer. So if we can't get it perfect, it's not a big deal. We want to get it as close as possible. This will help create an organized structure for your text and your images. So right over here, we don't have to worry about the numbers exactly on this. Right now, this is set up in millimeters because this magazine is British. So it's in millimeters instead of inches, but the concept will be the same. So looking at this particular document, it looks like there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 columns that are set up. So what we're going to do is I'm going to set this up and I'm going to do 3. The reason I'm doing 3 and not 6 is that actually will give me the basic structure because that's spread between both pages. If I were to move this up, and we can, I can do 3. What that just means is this text frame here needs to expand across or span across 2 columns. So we'll talk more about that in some of the other ones that you're going to work with, but usually a 6 column is fine. So I'm going to do a 3 just to simplify it. The more columns you have, the more you've got some flexibility, but for this looks good. All right, so this isn't getting us exactly there because you'll notice like the edge of the text box is not touching that pink line. And also we have the gutter to work with. The gutter is the empty space in between those columns. So let's start first with adjusting these margins because right now the interior margin and the exterior margin, so the outside and the inside, are not accurate. So let's work on those. We're going to first start here. If I start to make changes to this, notice it's changing all of them equally. And that may not be what I actually want. It's possible, but let's try pulling this one in. But yeah, that's not doing exactly what I want. So what I want to do is I'm going to unlock that. So we're going to look here and I want to get this pink line, so this non-printable grid line, to line up with the top of the word revisit. So I'm going to make sure that's turned off. If I make this number smaller, it brings it up. If I make it larger, it brings it down. That looks like that's too far. Nope, actually that looks pretty good. So we'll leave that at 21. And then the bottom, what I'm looking to do is I'm not looking necessarily to line up where the folio is. That's the page number at the bottom. What I want to do is I want to line up the bottom of the text. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this bottom one. It's looking good right there. Let me zoom in just a little bit. Zoom back out. Nope. I messed something up there, so let's move that back up. Okay, that looks pretty good. We can always come back here and make adjustments to this if it's off. So I'm using 21 and 29. Now I want to work with this inside margin. That's looking pretty good. That's starting to line up there. That's lining up there. So that's looking pretty good. And then let's look at the outside. If I bring that in too much, see what's happening is it's starting to move these the gutters that are here. So I don't want to go too far with that. So I'm going to go ahead and bring that back out. Right about there. So I'm going to use 21. Now, again, these numbers don't matter because when you do your own personal one, it's going to vary. So like right there, I'm just realizing that one's not right. So let's go ahead and move that in just a little bit. There we go. That's looking better. All right. So I'm going to do 21, 29, 20, and 22. Now down here in the gutter, I already have this set up with this setting. So let's go ahead and just leave that there. Don't do this, but I'm going to show you what happens if we make adjustments to this. So if I start to increase the gutter, in fact, actually, I take that back. Let's go ahead and change that just a little bit. That's looking a little bit better. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get it to where the boxes look like they line up on both sides. And then same things here, 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 and on this right-hand side. So yeah, go ahead and change that to 6 millimeters. But you'll notice what it's doing is the higher the number, the bigger the gap between the columns that are set up on your grid. So let me go back here. Don't remember what I left it off on. I think it was 9. So something like that looks pretty good. And then go ahead and click OK. Now, if you scroll up, that should have applied to all of the pages, but it does not look like it did because why? 21, 29, 20. Yes, there we go. Okay, so that's fine. So we have this set up so we can set up the columns and do the text and the photos in the next video. So go ahead and save this file and go ahead and load up the next file, the next video.